Everybody should be there. What you're going, only if someone is new, can you introduce yourself? The person, maybe Pam also can introduce herself again.
No, well,
She's not new, but she might be new to some. No, not. Okay, let's pass that. Okay, draft agenda. Ask for a volunteer facilitator that's done. Be member with report on topic not covered in agenda item. Is anybody who wants to speak about something that's not covered by the agenda?
It'll be in item 5. And I already have several requests. I've received a request from Alan. I've received a request from Eleanor M. I've received a request from Eileen, and I want to do something with Gloria. So that's 4 of us, and it's got 10 minutes. So that's 2 minutes each, essentially.
Oh, that's not going to be very long.
Right. Well, that's the point. We're trying to concentrate on the main 5 things that we've decided to concentrate on, and other things are going to be squished.
Okay, so now we are at campaign report. The minutes, do we have a review of the minutes?
I received one correction, which I dealt with, and I sent you all the R1 version.
And I didn't have time to look at it.
So has anybody else got any problems with any of it?
Is anybody has problem with minutes or any change? Let us know now because we're moving on. Okay, Gaza situation.
So they are going to take them as approved. Please, yes.
Oh, is anybody against approving the minutes? Silence, so let's move on. The minutes were approved.
Thank you.
Working to end current war and war in general. Okay, I think we should mention Liban in this.
No, you've missed continue to press for disarmament.
Oh, continue to total 10 minutes, okay.
So just for Daphne's sake, we're on 4 little I. Okay. Continue to press for disarmament.
Okay, go ahead. Who wants to speak about that?
Yes, I do.
You have 10 minutes.
Well, yeah, I'll try to do it in less. So I have pointed you there in the agenda to the report I wrote for the e-news that came out in early June. And we talked about it quite a lot at the last meeting, the fact there was no outcome document. And because the ambassador from Vietnam, who was the president of the review conference, realized he was not going to get consensus. So he didn't want to have any awkwardness, and so he didn't even put it to the floor, so to speak. So the only outcome document that everybody's working towards was the one that was agreed to in 2010. And actually, if you compare what everybody agreed to do in 2010 to what they could have done in 2026, the 2010 is actually a stronger on disarmament. So it was a good thing, one might say, that he didn't allow the 2026 version to go forward. So in the meantime, I attended the annual general meeting of the Arms Control Association, and I hope by Zoom. I hope some of the rest of you did that too. And they had Ambassador Viet appear by Zoom from Vietnam. He had no, take it back. He was in New York City. He wasn't in Vietnam. Anyway, they were in DC. He was in and he was asked, what, and this is my question in the agenda, what can we do now? Okay. Besides all the things that we're already doing to try to get people to understand that abolishing nuclear weapons is a very important thing for the sake of the whole world. But there are three things he said to help where we should go from now. And he said that there's this issue of risk. People talk about risk from nuclear weapons, risk from other things. And he said we should broaden what we are calling risk or as a risky thing. And he said that what he wanted to add was that he said the increasing belief in deterrence in security policies, we should fight back against that. There was a risk from that. And we've know that this is what the N5, the nuclear country, 5 main countries who own nuclear weapons, they try to claim that deterrence is what makes us all safe because we each have nuclear weapons. But he thinks that's, and a lot of people think that's not good. And ICANN has some very good literature on why deterrence is not a good thing. So we have to push back against deterrence. And then we have to find areas where there is common ground on remember the 3 pillars, and trying to bolster the IAEA, that's the International Atomic Energy Authority. That's the one that keeps track of who's got material, whether the fissile material is being transported and things like that. And he said we should really, support the CTBT, the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, which actually is not yet in force because not everybody has ratified it, including the US. So there are norms. There have been norms, general attitudes against nuclear testing, and we have to keep up those thoughts that nuclear testing is not a good idea, nuclear explosive testing. And you might recall that Diane and I went to Congress last October to talk to all the senators about this, the very week that Mr. Trump said, "Oh, we should restart testing," and that's put everybody in a tizwas. The third thing that Ambassador Viet says we should do is to sustain the dialogue between those 5 nuclear weapons owning states, the major ones. He saw when he was there that they were talking to each other a bit, and we have to encourage them to keep talking. And that's, so we have to foster that communication by whatever way we think we can. And there's this idea of common security that everybody all countries need to feel secure. And the poor thing was they didn't say much about the humanitarian effects of nuclear weapons in that final document that wasn't agreed to anyway. And so we need to keep pushing on the humanitarian effects. So I see those as three. His idea I think was fine. Nobody pushed back on him at the annual general meeting of the ACA. I think that kind of gives us our marching orders. Not much different from what we're doing, but it might help us frame some of our materials, especially if we manage to do this workshop at the pre-workshop time before the International Congress. And I haven't spoken to those of you who asked to help because I haven't started to think about it. But we have an hour at some time we haven't specified to talk to everybody in WILPF International about nuclear weapons and the need to abolish them. And so this is where we should highlight some of these points, I think. Okay, so, and then there's your latest Reaching Critical newsletter. Very long, very detailed. I have to admit, I've hardly read any of it. So, but looking at that, now Laura Varela is in charge. Ray Atchison has left us. Laura is keeping up, and that's the latest newsletter. So that will also inform us. I see Judith's hand is up. No, you're muted, Judith. You're muted.
I'm sorry. pulled my hand down because I wanted to know just what conference you were talking about. That there's going to be, when is the next conference that you were discussing that that people are going to be going to?
I'm talking about the WILPF International Congress
Oh, okay, thank you.
in July.
In July of this year.
This year, yes. You should be getting quite a few emails from them right now. And in fact, in the agenda, towards the end of the agenda, I point out that you got an email from them on the 12th of June at 1:45 p.m. in the afternoon in your time zone. So please go look for that. Okay, I'm done.
Thanks.
Unless there are any other, Ellen Mass, you have a question?
Saturday night, last night, when I was watching the Glenn Deason show. Some of you know Glenn Deason and have a lot of respect for him as an alternative, as a well-versed Norwegian commentator. I hope everybody's heard and has watched some of his programs. Well, he had on, I just put it in the chat, the program itself, because he had on Russia's top advisor to Putin and the great leader and the past leaders of Russia. And boy, did he give a different, he would not retract one iota about the nuclear option for Moscow. He went on and on and on. I was so terrified because when you listen to him, he was so powerful. And he was really speaking for the country like I've never heard. I mean, some people are, really more fully diplomatic in their representing an entire country, especially one as big and powerful as Russia. Well, I want everybody to listen to it because he was so sure that if it keeps up, in other words, if the Baltic and some of these other countries continue to attack, I tried to get the minutes changed, and Cheryl was right. We didn't directly speak about the dormitory that was hit in Lugansk with the kids, with the students killed, because our media says it was some military base, which apparently by most international media, it really was a youth dormitory. So it's very hard to get the accurate information today, but I want people to listen to it because Deason, I'm sure most of you have heard and listened to him from time to time, but this is one of the most frightening things because he kept saying, "Oh, we don't want to. This would be a horrible situation," but he kept emphasizing the right and the willingness and the plan to do so if they're continued to be attacked, even though we see them attacking Kiev. So I have to figure this out, but you have to get to know your adversary's point of view. So that's why I put it on. I hope people will listen to it. And he also had, it was Mearsheimer and I wish I could, Goga something.
Well, we'll find out if we watch that link that you've put in the chat.
Yeah,
You'll
right.
get the names. Okay.
Right, and it'll give us the other perspective, which we have to have. So thank you for letting me pop in there. And I know Gloria's put in something that goes along the lines of understanding what's going on in a broader way. Gloria, you put in the thing there,
Odile,
Yeah.
are you looking at the gallery view, Odile?
Yeah.
I see Diane's hand is up.
Oh, well, maybe they already covered it. It's Sergei Karaganov.
That's it. That's his name, Karaganov. Thank you for pronouncing it correctly.
So Jack Whitlock wrote that book, Superpower Illusions, saying that going into Ukraine is a recipe for suicide. He was there at the meeting as part of Reagan's team.
Oh, really?
Superpower Illusions is the name of that book. And at that meeting, he saw, what would happen if NATO pushed on to Ukraine. And his conclusion in that book, Superpower Illusions, was that it's suicidal.
Well, they talked about eliminating Britain and Germany that Germany is really pushing for a much broader confrontation. But anyway, I think the most important thing is that you just listen and get the point of view. We don't have to argue, discuss it out at all.
Well, I think it will be important to look at all the references I took the time to put in the chat too. That's hundreds of pages of studies of Western media bias, and then one from Japan of TAS media bias. We
Okay.
get that all the time.
Well, right now it's
Okay, I wanted to ask Cheryl about the NPT because she gave us a link. So did that link is what you wrote and what Eileen wrote and what the other people wrote?
No, that is just an e-news article to which we are limited 800 words. Okay.
Oh,
And I gave you a summary of the outcome. The written reports, there are some written reports out there. I haven't done anything to
to
collect
get them
together
together.
yet. No, not done that yet. Can we go on to the current wars?
Yeah, current wars. So I want to say something about Gaza. So far, the Palestinian people's death is 73,000, they say, and 1,000 killed in Gaza since the start of the ceasefire. 1 week ago, Israeli strike near Gaza and killed. They bombed some tents, refugees in tents, and they set fire to them. So people were burned, and there is no hospital to treat burned patients. And then 8 hours ago, Israeli killed 6 in refugee, again in a refugee camp, and again with fire. I'm not sure how the fire was gone. So it's going on and going on. And we have to speak about Lebanon because a lot of people, almost 1 million, have been refugees now. And Israelis keep on bombing Lebanon and destroying it. So we have to mention something about it. We did see a very nice Metcalf. The Middle East Committee put out a very nice webinar with the 10th of Nation, and Daoud spoke to us about the land that he has, that has been in his family for forever, and that he has papers on this, ratifying that it is his land, even by the Israeli Supreme Court. And he has olive trees, but he's surrounded by 5 Israeli settlements on all sides. And it's
Just to say, this is in the West Bank, okay? Just to clarify,
yeah,
please.
it is in the West Bank. It's not in Gaza. So anyway, if you want to say more, you were there and you saw it.
Yes. So I just to
It
say,
was very nice and very positive and very appropriate that way.
right. So they are suffering greatly from these illegal settlements by Israeli people, and they don't get any electricity anymore. The roads are blocked around them, so they have compost and water, hardly any water. So they have composting toilets, and they're getting solar panels, and
but they're being harassed all the time.
They're harassed. Yeah, they are Christians actually, and so what they do is they have people come in from abroad, volunteers come and spend a few weeks there from other countries to help work on the farm. As long as the farm is being worked, they can keep it. Is kind of what this Ottoman era law from the 1800s said. So.
Yeah.
But they hope that because there are foreigners in the camp, that somehow or other gives them protection from extra attacks from the surrounding Israelis and the military people. So but
they are in a co-op.
Yeah, it's
in
a
cooperative, and a lot of people are being banished or their land are being taken. So Daoud is trying to teach them, but it's not so easy because
Right. He's actually been to Congress. He's addressed people in our Congress. They have, of course, have a large fundraising effort. So we heard from the Friends of the Tent of Nations for Tona. They spoke. It was very, very well done. They had people in person in the church in Des Moines, and then was 30 of us or so online. And I think it's probably no. It was not recorded. We were asked not to do screenshots because they, trying to keep surveillance of what they're doing. Okay, so there is no recording. If you didn't go, sorry, you could look up FOTONNA.org. That is the Friends of the Tent of Nations in North America. Okay, so
maybe we can speak about what's going on in Iran, and we may have tonight a peace treaty. I don't know. It's
we got to go
spoken like that, but it goes one night and then the next day there is more bombing. So
we got Ukraine first.
Okay, sorry.
But I see Eileen has a hand up.
Can I go back to Gaza?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What's her name? First of all, Ralph Nader brought this up because he's been talking about numbers of deaths and from various reasons under the rubble, bad food, bad water. And the UN representative, Francisco Albanese, has kicked off her UN job because she said the actual number, considering everything, is 600,000 deaths in Gaza. I thought that was really an important thing. And I know Ralph Nader's been looking for that kind of validation for many months now. The second thing that
I have 1,000 people killed since the ceasefire.
In total.
In total,
yeah, sorry.
600,000. So we're closing in on 2/3 of 1 million people. The second thing that came out of the Nader was very interesting, and I think it's apropos here as well. Chris Hedges was interviewed by Nader, and as you know, was tutored by, in a sense, by Nader in his early days. About churches, particularly the Catholic Church, although it refers to all churches right now. And what he was saying is that they're very afraid to speak up against the war because of losing membership, because some people support and some people do not support the wars. And I'm talking about Israel's attacks, basically. I thought that was particularly poignant, and it certainly has been affecting my church, my UU church. And he went on to explain it's also affected all the Protestant churches. And he added, interestingly enough, that some of the, I guess you might call them born again Christian folks, the extremists are for it because it's supposed to be the end of the world. So to me, if we can convince the Pope, who is...
He's convinced, I think.
Very well, he also knows, this is the other point that came out, he knows that not all parishes and the people within them follow the edicts. And we're talking about the encyclical, multiple pages. You can spend a month reading it. It came out, and they're referring to the encyclical in this particular interview yesterday. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
So I wanted to say that Francesca Albanese is under economic sanctions because of her report about companies. I think that's even worse. She can't even use a credit card. And he mentioned that in his thing yesterday, also in his podcast. And then I wanted to say I attended, and I get every Sunday, I have the option of going to Doctors Against Genocide. And today was the first day I actually did. But they had lots of speakers. Well, lots to me is like 7. And they were mostly Palestinians. And it went on for over 2.5 hours. I was on for 2.5 hours and then I went off. But it very long time, but really good people speaking about the situation there. So
Alan usually goes on Doctor Against Genocide, and I go sometime.
Mm-hmm.
They also deal with Congo and with Sudan.
Yes, they did cover that too. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sudan.
We donated some money to them.
Okay, can we go on to Ukraine-Russia war?
I have my hand.
We've used about half the time for campaigns since after the first part.
Thank you.
So we have about 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes more.
For several sections, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes, I just want to point out at what I put in the chat is I'm glad Diane mentioned the importance of having a Palestinian voice. So I put in the Palestinian article on the Iran deal. So you both get to hear from Palestinians, what they're saying, and their conclusions about where we're going with this deal. So it goes with this, and then the other section on Iran. That's all.
Okay, but what does anybody have anything in particular to say about the Ukraine-Russia war?
My statements are about the coming webinar on militarizing the Baltic Sea. Be aware how slanted our media is. And you can see that in all these studies I took the time to look up and I put in the chat. Please use them.
Okay.
We tend to under-report the dangers and the risks of what NATO is doing in these countries in the Baltic, like Latvia, like Estonia, like Poland. And their missiles are falling, their drones, but we're not reporting it. So people think nothing's happening. It's all in Gaza or somewhere else. Well, that's bad too, but this is happening. And these results from these studies on how underreported this is and how dangerous it is show what an unbalanced info environment we are in, which presents the case of the Baltic Sea militarizing in a false sense of security, only showing when something is going right with NATO. They're totally selective, totally embedded on one side. And we're being continuously, I can't read my own words. We're being denied the news, basically. And that's why we're having this webinar that I'm going to talk about in that other section. I'll take less than a minute. So that's all I have to say. But please look at the chat. I put in tons of material, studies of how you're being shielded from reality and lulled into a false sense of security. Folks, this is worse than the Cuban Missile Crisis because nothing was fired off in that. Think about it. Okay.
Thank you. It's sickening, isn't it?
It's dangerous, even worse than sickening. Sickening means, oh, I'll throw
Well,
my
I
hands
think
up and walk away.
we ought to thank Gloria for doing this because it comes out of our own efforts to fund one of the members that went to the St. Petersburg conference tomorrow. And
Lawrence, yeah.
And so we really do. These two people were part of that. So it's a continuation, and it connects to our statement, our détente statement. So I think,
and she will be at the webinar. Tamara is going to be there, and Charlotte Dennett. Charlotte Dennett is very eager to be there because she knows we're not getting the news.
Yeah, good. Whoa.
Okay, let's go on then.
I mean, hitting these nuclear reactors, which has happened now, and the one they hit is bigger than Chernobyl by 1.5 times. It's really going to be bad if that baby goes.
That's
Whoa.
what the threat was that I put in this terrible news we got.
But we don't have to worry because we don't report it. You see? We don't have, what's
Okay,
that old thing? What need worry?
maybe we should
Better.
move now to Iran.
Well, I'll just say quickly that at the Guam meeting yesterday, Ula talked about a presentation she had given, and they included it in the email today when they passed on the recording to the attendees to the Guam list, and it is included in there what Gloria's talking about.
Thank you,
Okay.
Diane. I appreciate it.
And Diane, I just put in the people are curious about Guam and what they're talking about and who's there. They had a full meeting, and I just put it was recorded, and it got into I don't know if I got it from a link or YouTube, but it's in the chat now. So people who want to know more about them and what they're saying and everything.
Let's move on. Let's talk about Iran. And as you know, as Odile was saying, that every few hours we get different information about this memorandum of understanding, whether it's going to be signed. Trump will say one thing, and then the press
And
out
then
of Iran
Iran
will say another.
And then Iran said, no, this is not happening. And so Trump says one thing, and he said, we signed a peace treaty, and Iran said, no, we haven't signed anything.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I
so
don't know.
we are in this, but just to say that on the 3rd of June, our House of Representatives did pass a war powers resolution by 215 to 208. So several Republican Congress people voted with the Democrats to pass that House War Powers Act, which says, thou shalt not use any of our military force to attack Iran, which of course is what they are doing. And the Senate had already passed there. So we now have two war powers resolutions that Trump and the Pentagon are ignoring. And, what I hope you will, receive emails from people like Win Without War or what have you, which is giving you ideas of what to, what you could be doing, what you should be telling your congressperson. Okay. So it's, to me, the fact that he said we'd killed this drug dealer by bombing his house. I mean, that is, against the regular rules of how you deal with criminals. You don't bomb their
No,
house.
they've done it long ago.
Anyway, so I'm happy if nobody else has in particular, an idea what we should do about Iran right now that the Disarm Committee could be doing, then I think we should move on to the next thing in the agenda.
So the next thing is called reducing military spending.
Yes, and so I'm happy just to fill you in on what's going on with the Pentagon budget, and I wrote it out to make sure I was understanding it. So President Trump sends a request to Congress. I want to have a budget that's $1.15 trillion. This year it's about 850 billion. Okay, and so something called the Armed Services Committees were the first ones to, they call it marking it up. Okay, so this is a committee both in the House and the Senate, and there was an amendment that the Democrats have put in to just take off $150 billion, and quite a few, all the Dems voted for that, but it didn't pass within that committee. And then, but 12 did vote against advancing. So then that committee has to advance the request out to the next step in the process. 12 Democrats voted against advancing it. Okay, that was different. Usually everybody says, oh yes, go ahead. So then that went to the House Appropriations Defense Subcommittee. Okay, so you have all these different types of committees. And they eventually, and that was one of those closed sessions behind closed doors that we were supposed to complain about, I described last time. So they said, oh yeah, we approve $1.072 trillion. And this is discretionary defense funding, remember? And so on. And again, Betty McCollum, the Democrat lead, and all the Democrats voted against it, but they don't, the majority is in the Republican side. So now there is called a House Committee on Appropriations, right? So that was a subcommittee. Now there's a full House Committee, and they'll be looking at it on June the 24th. And that's not closed. And so this is where, especially if you have a Republican person who represents you as a Republican, then and they're on the House Committee of Appropriations, that you should be writing to them and say vote against forwarding this huge request. I gave you a link in the agenda to a very good letter that has been sent to many all senators and Republican House people as well. So at the same time, all right, so all these discretionary agencies, you've seen the pie charts. So like there is the Health and Human Services also gets its budget through this discretionary process, and they've already had their stuff passed. So the defense takes a lot longer. And if you look at the pie chart, it's always more than half. When you look at Health and Human Services, you look at the agriculture, all those discretionary stuff, they always get less. You add them all together, they're less. And so we have to continue to, especially if you have a Republican, please, those of you who have Republican representatives, you really must be writing to them often. They say, don't worry that you wrote to them last week, write to them again, okay? So that's what's going on. And I attend these people over the Pentagon planning meetings where there's a whole bunch of executive directors and very well-informed people that I'm learning from. And there's a toolkit that's in process to help mobilize all our members, not just the Disarm Committee. I'm supposed to be trying to tell all the branches what to be doing about this NDAA. You end up with the thing we call the National Defense Appropriations Act. No, Authorization Act. So this is a very long process reaching to that end. And then they want to add, oh no, we need another $350 billion. This is through another process called reconciliation, which is just a way of trying to go around the rules. So we could end up with a $1.5 trillion being spent one year by the Pentagon.
We've exceeded our time on continuing campaigns. There are 2 more to go.
All right, thank you. That's it. So we have Ellen and Pam to talk about bills and the ANA.
The bills in Congress.
And because I know Ellen was working on that while she was in DC. So
I don't have a time on that.
Well, it's included in the 40.
Okay.
In the 35.
So let's move. Who is speaking on that?
Ellen and Pam.
Thomas, go ahead.
Ellen Thomas, yeah.
Pam.
Okay. So we had a really great meeting. It was inspiring because there were many young people there. And our theme was protect communities, reduce the nuclear risk. And so we had people from several different reservations in the Southwest who were affected by the nuclear weapons production, uranium mining, and testing. And so we did focus on cleanup a lot, but also on the problem of maybe there would be new testing. But with the person from Nevada who was a Shoshone, and he's on our ANA board. So we wanted to stop the new warheads. We want to stop new bomb plants. We did lobby for Back from the Brink and House Resolution 317 and Senate Resolution 323. We also wanted to fully fund the cleanup because there is no cleanup being done. Basically, all the weapons productions and research places, they're cutting cleanup to focus mainly on just producing nuclear weapons. And this is making a lot more long-lasting nuclear waste. And I can't remember exactly, but I think there's like $800 billion in uncleaned up. Maybe it's over by now it's probably $1 trillion of deferred cleanup of legacy waste. So it's really, then we wanted to talk about our lawsuit that we won with Tri-Valley Care, Savannah Riverside, and Los Alamos Nuclear Weapons Lab, and some environmental groups in South Carolina. And we did have comment periods, and we did talk about plutonium modernization, trying to cut that and stop making any new nuclear weapons, stop making new Sentinel missiles, stop making new bombs. We had people from all over the country, from New York to California, and let's see, I'm trying to think. We asked there's this thing called House Resolution 5894, the Restraint Act, and Senate Bill 3090, the No Nuclear Testing Act. We're asking that our representatives support those. And we have really a pretty long here. And we also talked about no new massive nuclear centers for AI, these hubs. We don't believe that these small nuclear modular reactors are small or safe or a good idea, and they would affect vulnerable communities already. We don't want any new nuclear reactors or restarting closed reactors, which are very brittle from all the years of operation, and they're trying to reopen these old nuclear power plants that have been shut down, and it's very unsafe. And then also the Defense Nuclear Facility Safety Board is not being funded all the way, and the Republicans are not recommending people to keep the board going. So when we don't have a nuclear safety board, there aren't any inspectors and scientists researching to go out and make sure that things are being conducted in a safe manner. And I'm running out of breath, so I'm done.
Good job.
That was so. It would be a great help, Pam, if you would send your notes over to Daphne, so she gets to capture what you've just told us in the minutes.
Okay. I just put the
Training.
Various presentations from DC days that I filmed. I put the links in the chat. It's the green pod, which that was Pam was talking about green pod work there, and the peace pod, which is about new nuclear weapons and plutonium pits, and then the lobby training is a very useful thing to show to people who've never lobbied before and would like to learn how. So Pam, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
And do I report on?
Yeah, on your
June
Yeah.
3rd
So
event.
my daughter and granddaughter joined me at ANADC days, and they really learned a lot, and they were really, really, really glad that they went. And on Monday, we went lobbying with the ANA folks so that they would learn how, Katie and Emma would learn how to do it, to a representative and to a senator. And then we hand-delivered letters to the legislative assistants of all of the representatives who have sponsored Eleanor Holmes Norton's Nuclear Weapons Abolition and Conversion Act, asking them to make sure that it gets introduced in the next session, even if the DC delegate that is elected doesn't do anything. So I plan on following up on that. And if you want to follow up on it, the list of the delegates or the list of the co-sponsors is at prop1.org. I'll put that in, and there you just go through there and read the history, and you'll see everybody that has signed on to it. So
I
How did
have a
your
question.
celebration go?
and I'd like to add that we had there were a number of people from ANA and a whole bunch of WILPF people who showed up for the 45th anniversary of the anti-nuclear vigil in front of the White House. We couldn't get within 2 blocks of the White House. You couldn't see it from any place except at the top of 16th Street, way up the hill. You could see the roof. And down on Constitution at 1600 Constitution Avenue, you could see a bit of the back, but it was cluttered up by this ridiculous arch and all the building stuff and porta potties. It's disgusting. It's really distressing. Diane was there. Do you have anything to say about this?
Well, I thought it was great that humanitarian, what is it, truck?
Yeah.
Had all your stuff showing and the videos, and it was just great. I thought that, it was a real tribute to you, Ellen. And
It was a delightful experience.
And that
Yeah.
And that was from American University that's taken
American University, yeah.
your stuff into their archives.
I'm going to show you some pictures in just a
Yes.
second.
Yes, show us some pictures. I think you've sent a few out.
Yeah.
And just to go back to Pam, have they actually completely demolished the Nuclear Safety Board or just diminished it?
I think there's only basically one person left on there. And if they don't nominate some new people, I think that person's term is expiring. Well, at some point, I think in the fall. So it's pretty dire.
So as people leave, they're supposed to propose a new person. They're not doing that.
And they're not doing it.
Okay. All right, so we're going to
So
see.
if you go to the on YouTube, if you go to Proposition 1 campaign, it's down in the second row, the Proposition 1 campaign archives, there's a video. And it's a 12-minute video with a few people giving speeches, and I just you can go to it yourself, and I'll put that in the chat. And then the ANA, it's also on Proposition 1 campaign. You go down to the second row and you go over to ANA and go to playlist. So this has pictures, posters that they hurriedly put together from pictures that digital pictures that I had provided them. We managed to dredge up Concepcion Picciotto's last sign and donated it to the museum at the American University. This was Thomas's message, wanted wisdom and honesty. And Thomas was the founder of the vigil in 1981. And this is my daughter, Katie, my granddaughter, Emma, and this is Angie Whitehurst. We all know Angie Whitehurst. I don't know if she's here tonight, but she is the person who connected us with American University. She works for Dan Kerr at American University. And this is the inside coming up the back steps. And these are the posters, some of the posters that they made, laminated posters, and they just put them up on the walls inside and outside. It's very efficient. This is the crowd. It wasn't very large, but it was dear. And if you watch the film, you'll see these faces again. And this was Echo. And if you watch the film, she's the first speaker on the 12-minute speeches. And this is Filippo's Malacubello, who has been doing the signs, has been responsible for them since 2015. He kept it going all these years.
Thank you for the picture. It's very nice to see.
Yeah.
I think we need to move on.
Yes, I presented to WILPF about a year ago a campaign. We had 11 campaigns, and I thought to add a 12th to end the whole war system and put it all together. And people were interested, but nobody quite took it to a next step, nor have I. But I've been talking about this and elaborating my notes and as to how actually to do such a campaign. And this is just to say I have about 4 pages of notes that I will send out to the committee that you can read and consider by the next meeting, and maybe we can have a discussion. And I'm sharing this also with other people more widely. Obviously, such an endeavor is a wide coalition, cooperative effort, but I do have some further notes, and I think it is the time to end the whole war system and bring all our campaigns together to a focus and call these warmongering monsters who run the world to the peace table and turn their hearts. So that's my message for now, and I will send you some pages by in a couple of days. Odile and I are about to go to France, and anyone who is traveling to Burgundy are welcome to visit. Oh, and we got another bulletin from Francis Feely, who I've shared with you on some occasion, an excellent bulletin about what's going on. And it also has some film with it that is well worth seeing. The Earth's Greatest Enemy. If you haven't seen it, Francis has a copy of that in this thing, which I'll send out to you also. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Eleanor Mass next wants to tell us about Mexico.
I just put in the chat what's happening. You know, Mexico has started out this World Cup, and it's this World Cup is there's a lot of criticism, and justifiably so, against the kind of attention that Trump is making from being the center of it. He's really put Canada and Mexico aside when it comes to PR and to get it capturing, you know, the a lot of center of the whole thing. But I did put in the chat, so you just see that she made free World Cup viewing because of the enormous expense it is for those tickets. They really made it into you have to have a lot of money to attend those, and maybe you get tickets. But one of the things she's done in the last 2 weeks is have about hundreds of thousands of people in the Zocalo, the center of Mexico City, giving the update, which she does annually for her progress in all fields of basic life: education, health, welfare, economy, climate. And it is so amazing, the kind of progress of infrastructure, increases in salaries. Even though there was a teacher protest, it was a small teacher. When I say small, percentage-wise, it was like 4% of the teachers, but it was a pretty dramatic. They want to. The teachers are demanding 100% raise increase. Wasn't reasonable at all, and she has given the teachers a 9% raise for all teachers across the board, with increases coming all along. She's had to undo constitutional constitutional restrictions against teachers from previous regimes, before AMLO, before her predecessor. So what we're concerned with is the kind of conflict between the U.S. and Mexico, and there's still a big question mark how far the trade deals are going to go. What was NAFTA? It's now another. I don't know the acronym right now. but they're still uncertain as to where the trading is going. She still is able to stand up and to prevent the kind of extradition requests they're making, saying that her party, her Morena party, which is the ruling party in 32 states, is a narco, just like we did with Venezuela, just like we're doing with Colombia. They're all narco countries because we don't like them and they're too progressive. So that's my take on why we're getting such a horrendous situation there. And then, you know, she sent 2 more ships to Cuba. When I say ships, you're talking 70 tons. Nothing like what the Russians are bringing there, or the Chinese, but now I think Ecuador, Uruguay sent a big ship. So other places, and then Miami even, Trump allowed some private company to send an enormous number of oil there. So at least let's hope that this is going to be a competition rather than an invasion, that he is going to try to compete with companies to get in there, and it might happen. So be prepared for Cuba to open up much more to capitalism, which they are not a capitalist country. So, but they might, who knows? It's worth following. And there is a big Cuba event. I don't know if I haven't put in the chat, I will. So it is very important because there's a whole week of Cuba activities. I think the 28th through the 4th, the 28th of.
I think we're time.
So that's it. I'm sorry, I went too far. Okay, that's it. I'll put in the Cuba thing, but yeah, it's worth follow and read the little part about the FIFA. She didn't go to the game. She gave her ticket to somebody to.
Right. None of the presidents went to the opening games. Neither Canada nor Trump nor Sheinbaum.
I said, well, she did. She made a big deal of it. So.
Right, but they. Oh, I mean, here, you know, they have free big screens in all kinds of public places around here and the rest of the country. Okay, to show the games, the people who didn't get the tickets. And I've been watching it on Fox. It's the only time I've ever watched Fox TV. They're showing every game.
No, all 3 countries in North America, there's tremendous a disappointment with the games and how they're handling FIFA. FIFA is really
making a lot of money.
Too much money.
Non-profit.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
Judith has a hand up.
I'm not sure where we.
Yes, okay, so to kind of go back to or get back on the subject of groups that are working to end war using treaties.
Okay, but you have to wait because there are 2 other people ahead of you, and you didn't ask for this when we brought it up earlier in the agenda. Okay, so it's me and Gloria next. Just briefly, Gloria has found all these representatives who own stock in the weapons companies. And at one of my planning meetings, Gloria, with the people over the Pentagon, all these experts, I said, you know, we have this idea to bring out that these representatives are owning weapons companies and they also have power over the budget. Now, they said, yes, this is an important thing to do, but how to use this, how to actually use this facts, this knowledge of who owns what in the.
You want me to talk about it? It's my state.
No, you've sent us many emails.
No, I get a couple minutes, you said. There's
me and you together. Me and you together. I'm telling you.
Do I get to talk about this? It's my baby, as they say.
Right, but okay, but I asked these experts and they said, bring it up at town halls. If your representative is having a town hall during the recess, this is the kind of thing you would bring up and challenge them in person. You've got to make it a public challenge, is the point. Yeah. So yes, what do you have to say?
So that's one good idea. I'm also working in between organizations with David Swanson and Greta Zero at World Beyond War. We're starting a new campaign there. They have asked me to get a kickoff article on how to do 2 things: find what Congress members are the big offenders and have these weapon stocks, often like Ro Khanna, everybody's darling. You know, you can't go by what they believe on other issues. Do not give them a halo effect. You should look up everyone and make sure that they're not doing this. Like even Bernie, you got to check. He didn't, by the way, I looked him up. So don't give them a halo effect. Some offenders who have these big weapon stocks personally are on the NDAA committee. Mitch McConnell, he owns tons of the stuff, okay? And so what we're going to do with this kickoff, as soon as I get the webinar on militarizing the Baltic done, because that's a lot of work too, show how to locate the stock profiteers. First, show people in these groups how they can do that for themselves with their own representatives. Then show how they can spread the word. And, you know, town halls are one thing, but you won't get many takers when it's 112 out here in Tucson. People aren't going out into it.
Well,
So letters to the editor, op-eds, radio,
right.
Change your signage. The signage is too abstract. You know, when you have signs in front of these iconic buildings, like don't have war, change to, we know, Senator McConnell, you own this much in Raytheon. Cite the numbers, cite the amount, and how much they owe. How can you sleep at night? Or something like that. You got to really be more punchy and make each one of them accountable for specifically what they're doing, not generalizations about wouldn't it be nice if, yeah, we'll all live together. Okay, so that's the next thing we're doing. That's all I have to say.
And then Eileen, you had asked for 2 minutes to talk about something.
Yeah, the SPEED Act is what I'm concerned about, and hopefully Diane is too, because I briefly talked with her. The SPEED Act H4776 is a bipartisan bill aimed at reforming the permitting process under the National Environmental Policy Act. It's to streamline federal environmental reviews for energy infrastructure projects. It seeks to reduce delays and costs associated with permitting, allowing for faster construction of necessary infrastructure to meet rising energy demands. But remember, permits are set up to ensure safety is carefully considered. Okay, we find this a chilling act that passed the House in December 2025 and it's going to the Senate. The bill will provide legitimacy to projects like databases and the already fast-track building of rocket motors in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, that will affect Rio and Albuquerque's scarce water, and it would be setting up the public to pay for infrastructure and probable explosion costs, because these kind of companies do explode. As of now, there's no matching companion bill in the Senate for House SPEED Act. It is currently awaiting consideration. Please contact your congressional senators requesting they don't pass a bill like this. To learn more, watch and attend the special webinar we're planning, no date yet, that will include Elaine Semino, who worked on the Rio Rancho problem. She will be the main speaker. That's my story, and I'm hoping Diane will help us bring her forth in the all WILF calls. Thank
Right,
you.
we're asking for the number again, please, of the
I'll put it in chat in a matter of a minute. It's the House Bill 4776, and we don't have a number yet or anything for the Senate.
I think it's HR 4776. Yeah,
that's right. It's H. It depends on how I put an H in the Massachusetts. I get what I want. Yeah.
Okay.
We've done our time. Can we hear Judith on treaties before we end this? Number 5, and then number 6 is coming up for 7 minutes.
I'll try and keep it as short as possible. I apologize. I came in late. I didn't realize that I needed to ask, request time. But I can keep it as short as possible. You all know that Project Enduring Peace is interested in kind of doing an end run around a lot of problems, namely go all the way to getting rid of international warfare. and we started out, we're new, we're only a couple of years old. We started out with the idea of a treaty or updating the treaty that would bring about the end of wars, an enforceable treaty. Where we are now is that would have involved the United Nations. So I have been doing a ton of research on how treaties come about at the United Nations and what to do about it. And we sent letters out to a group called the PNND, Parliamentarians for Nuclear Disarmament and no, for Nuclear Non-Proliferation and Disarmament, PNND. We sent out 36 letters to a lot of groups, and the only one of the 36 that responded back to our request about what our goal is, ending international wars, blah, 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 was the Alan Ware from the PNND. And he clearly wrote a very clear letter that showed he'd done his homework. He knows who we are. He knows how we're different and what our interests, where our interests overlap. So we're very encouraged right now to find out more about the PNND, more about how you get treaties done. And particularly, I'm learning about what they did at the United Nations called the Pact for the Future. I don't know if everybody in this group, does everybody in this group know about the Pact for the Future?
I do, and I think I have told you about it many months ago.
But shouldn't I not mention it here at all?
Well, you could, if you can just summarize it, yes.
Okay, well, what I want to say about it is that that we have realized that you can't end international warfare at the United Nations because of the Security Council veto. That is the single biggest barrier to doing virtually anything about ending wars. And so I'm having a senior moment. Give me a second.
And I think there's a website you can put in the chat for us about the Pact for the Future.
What happened was that at the United Nations, lots of organizations, peace organizations, other kinds of organizations agreed that we need to do something. So, we all know we need to do something. For 2 years, a bunch of organizations spent their time trying to figure out what needs to change at the United Nations to make it work so that what it does will stick. And so that is a written agreement called Pact of the Future, and it's the one done by civil society groups. So I've been reading all of that in detail. It was then submitted last year I believe it's 2025 last year, to the United Nations itself, and the United Nations came up with their own Pact for the Future. So you can Google Pact for the Future and United Nations and read all about what they've concluded and what they decided. So that's where we are. We want to figure out how PEP, Project Enduring Peace, can fit into a movement that will advance changes at the United Nations that will actually lead about a potential treaty to end international warfare. So that's where we are now. We're working on it.
Good.
Okay, now we are in 6. Moving to 6.
Yes,
Plan
so
conceptual march toward Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
and
Is
other events.
planning that?
So I did not go to any of the planning meetings. I believe some of you did. Can any of you who went to those planning meetings that happened last week tell us where we're at with this?
Yeah, I went.
Oh, you did?
I went. I'm just trying to recall. It was very, a welcoming type more than it was a campaign oriented. It was just again, it was sharing who we were as WILF. I'm not doing it justice, but it wasn't. Here's
Okay.
activities we're doing.
yeah, somebody, in the past, I've been the one who wrote to all the branches, and we would have 10, 11, 12 branches who did their own thing every year. And
I was
so,
on board long ago. That was the action that most branches did.
right.
But it has changed now, maybe.
Well, they have this additional consideration, additional idea of a march down one of your main streets in your town, and you'll say, we're marching either away or towards,
Won't be
depending
there
on the attitude you're trying to portray. But
I never thought about it before, but those marches are very similar to the ones Gandhi did. That's how he was able to affect the whole change of his country, is by those marches. I hadn't realized that was that's the civil disobedience approach.
He went a long way, though. We're only asking people to go for a few blocks.
Yeah, it's a good thought related to past history of civil disobedience.
Right. So
okay, let's go to 6, number 2, golden rule. Who is
so
on that?
I offered to do something to get our branches on the West Coast involved with the Peace Boat as it goes up from San Diego to Humboldt between the 20th of June and the September the 10th. I've not done anything yet. I know who the branches are. I will be writing to them, encouraging them to go and greet the boat at the port, and then have some. What they like is to have public events while the Golden Rule is in the port, and to invite people to come visit it. And for a smallish donation, you can take a sail around the bay of your harbor.
Is
So
there a schedule when it's going to?
Yes, there's a schedule. There's a schedule. I gave it you all a couple of weeks ago. All right. It is a known schedule, and I will be using that to talk to our branches. I just haven't done anything yet. I've had a lot of other things to do, but I promised I'd do that. I continue to promise I will do it. If somebody else wants to help me, that's fine. But that's
I will move us to our plan for the International Congress.
right. So you all got there's the schedule there that I have printed out, and you all need to look at it, and it's all in CEST time. And those of us on the West Coast, they are 9 hours ahead of us. So if you look at the schedule, which kind of looks like this, and then you look day 1, 2, 3, etc. So for example, they start at 7 a.m. on Saturday, the 18th of July. That is 10 p.m. on the 17th of July. So 10 p.m. I can do that. So you can work out which of these things you can attend. We have official delegates. I believe Gloria is an official delegate, so she's obliged.
Yep.
Getting up at some god awful times and attending these things. But the rest of us is $25 from our region to attend. And I've paid that money. I also gave them a small donation. So please look at that 12th of June, 1:45 p.m. PDT
but if
email.
we want to have a workshop there.
Yes, so we want to have a workshop.
That's something else we need to meet.
That's the pre, and I'm waiting for a form that we can fill in. And yes, I need to get in touch with those of you who said you would help. Again, it's on my to-do list.
Okay.
So I'm sorry I haven't, done anything yet, but
then let's move to.
I think you all should attend.
Wait.
Maybe we should have
I have an important point about that workshop. What Shelby put out, I accidentally signed up again and paid $80 again to belong to the whole convention, the whole Congress. It's very confusing, so be careful if you use what Shelby wrote. It isn't about your link, it's about the whole conference, the whole Congress. So I'm trying to get my money back from the International WILPF because that wasn't clear. So be careful where you click.
Right. Well, if you go to this You go to the one I've suggested in the agenda, coming from WILPF International, not from Shelby, and
Okay.
and follow that rule. You get to it says here, register here as a delegate. It says,
Just
all
want
right,
to let
well,
everyone know that I put in a brief summary of what I said about the PNND and the pact for the future.
pack for the future. Thank you. So everybody should be
Facility
saving the
pact.
chat because
Thank
we're
you.
approaching finishing the whole meeting because we've got these. We're on item 7 now, committee support
Minute.
projects. Treasurer, do you have anything to tell us, Treasurer? Do you have a current account balance?
Gloria donated $80 for the Journalist Award, earmarked for the Journalist Award. If one isn't given, then I guess we give it back to her.
No, just hang on to it because that's an ongoing campaign.
Okay.
Oh,
And
which
then
we haven't-
I have paid for the Zoom account.
but
So
you're getting that money back from
yeah.
Chris. That's been
Yeah, and
sorted.
that's gonna come from us, and that's about 170. I don't have the exact
Okay.
amount, but
Gloria, were you intending the journalist, the $80 to go towards the Raytheon journalist who was able to bring out that? Is that what that was intended for?
Yes, for Tim Stellar, if we end up giving it, I think he was already approved. I just have had so many things on my plate. I guess the next step is to let him know. I don't know what the next step is.
Right. Well,
Well,
Gloria,
you're requesting that we approve it.
it was
we-
approved.
No, it already was approved, Ellen.
Okay.
Elena, it was already approved 2 meetings
Right.
ago, I think.
It's just the logistics,
I
the
don't remember that.
practicalities now.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
may be on vacation.
No, the people in Cambridge from the Raytheon, we are there every single third Sunday of the month. That I told them all about it, and I sent them all the information from Tom Skeller from Tucson.
Oh, good.
Your group, and they were very, I don't know if they'll pick up on that and begin to be more active. You're much more active than we are, even in a place like Cambridge.
It's the nuke resistors. They're out there in the heat. They're out there this week in 112.
Ooh.
I'm not going to do I'll tell you, a Hiroshima march would be a killer, even 3 blocks.
That's what you told us that the other groups it won't be 112 the rest of the country, thank goodness.
No, but we have to do ours indoor.
You will do it whatever you can.
That's
So
right.
so we
Amazing.
have
that
$1,940.
1940.
40.
$1,940. Okay, thank you. So the next meeting, the 28th of June, okay? Hopefully, but I can just warn you that come August, I'm going to be going on this cruise, and so I won't be available probably on the 9th of August. That's the 2nd. I shall be just getting on my boat, and in Lisbon, where I'll be 8 hours ahead of everybody. Anyway, so okay, but just to I will try and set things up so there'll be an agenda, but you can manage without me, I'm sure.
Maybe people don't want it. Maybe people want to take some time off.
Well, that's the other thing we could discuss at the next meeting, Eleanor. If other people would like 1 week off, it would be the 9th of August is what I would propose. But it
Great
comes
to know
after.
about it
By
now.
then, pardon, Joan?
Great to know about it now.
Yes. By then, of course, the commemorations should happen on the 6th and the 9th of August, pardon me, the commemorations for Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So those should be done by then. Okay. So
Or the 5th and the 8th, if you want to do it at the same time in the US as what it is.
the real time, yes, when it happened, 8 a.m. on the 6th is 16 hours before in California. I'm keeping track because my daughter happens to be in Japan right now. So if I want to WhatsApp with her, I have to know the time zones. Okay. Any other business? Hopefully nobody's got anything else they really want to talk about. Okay. So I think we can say we're done, Odile.
Good.
I'm proud of you. It's only 7 minutes after, and we were 7 minutes getting in, so you did it in 90 minutes.